What's going on, everyone? Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about an internet rumor out there that the Falcons could be trading for Trey Lance, so we will unpack all of that. Plus, we're going to take a look at the Athletics breakout candidate for the Falcons. I mean, look at Trey Anderson's neck right there. That's a top 5 neck in the NFL. There's no way he does not have an awesome sophomore season. But before we get to all of that, we're going to look at the numbers of our sub battle with Saints Now here, and it has been a disaster of a month, if I'm being honest with you guys. They are dunking on us, and we played pool basketball, and Rolly dunked on Trace, who does Saints Now here. So let's bring that over to YouTube. They've got a good-sized lead, but we're only halfway through the month, so lock yourself in for free Falcons YouTube content when you hit that sub button. Now, let's jump into our first rumor on today's show, and that is from Wayne Breezy. Now, Wayne Breezy, if you don't know, is a 49ers YouTube content creator, and he tweeted out yesterday, rumor has it that the Falcons have reached out to the 49ers about the availability of quarterback Trey Lance on Monday per CJ Golson. Now, I did some digging here, and CJ Golson is not a Adam Schefter of the world. He's not breaking any news here. This is a deep, dark internet rumor that really has no truth to it, and if the Falcons end up trading for Trey Lance, I'm not going to look back in this and go, CJ was on it from the start. Now, there is something to maybe the Falcons, doing their homework on other quarterbacks. That I could see having some validity to it. Now, Trey Lance as a player has been, unfortunately, unavailable for the largest portion of the last few seasons, right? Only 4 starts under his belt. He only started 1 game or 2 games last year. He got hurt in week 2. But through 4 starts, he's thrown for 797 yards, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's rushed for 235 and 1 score. Are we even sure that Trey Lance is better than Desmond Ridder? I mean, Trey Lance, a former top pick of the NFL draft, a guy that the 49ers identified and moved heaven and earth to move up and select, unfortunately has not worked out in the Bay Area simply because he has not been available for them, right? His rookie season, the plan all along was to start Jimmy Garoppolo and then hand things over to Trey Lance. Unfortunately for Trey Lance, Jimmy G went on a tear and never really opened a window for Lance to step in and take over. And then last season, his sophomore year, he fractures his ankle in week 2, and that's kind of the end of the story because Brock Purdy took over, and well, now we have Big Cock Brock. So that kind of killed the Trey Lance in San Francisco movement. But if you want to compare these two quarterbacks head-to-head, since they both have 4 starts under their belts, they're not very far off, right? Desmond Ridder's got him beat completion percentage-wise. It's almost a wash for yards. Few more touchdowns and interceptions for Trey Lance. Better rushing yards as well. But if you're just going off of what they've done so far in their NFL careers, they're very equal. And if anything, you could give the edge to Desmond Ridder. So let me know which quarterback you would rather have. Type DR for Desmond Ridder or TL for Trey Lance. By no means do I believe that this CJ Golson fella is breaking news here, and he is going to be at the head or going to be at the forefront of a Trey Lance trade. But it's July. We have some deep, dark internet rumors. Why not bring it up on the show? For me, this might surprise some of you. I'm sticking with Desmond Ridder. Now, I'm definitely open to maybe the Falcons trading for Trey Lance to bring in some competition, because if you could get Trey Lance for, say, a 7th-round pick, I think we'd all agree he's worth a 7th-round pick to at least see that top potential. But for 2023, if I'm picking a starter for this team, I'm sticking with Desmond Ridder. He's had the whole offseason so far, training with the first-team offense. He ended the year on a high note against the Bucs. I want to see that spill over into 2023 and find out what you have in the former Cincinnati Bearcat. So if you want to add Trey Lance because it doesn't cost you much, sure, I can get behind that, right? I think everyone can agree that a day 3 pick is worth Trey Lance to at least find out if he can reach that big potential that so many scouts saw in him coming out of North Dakota State. But anything more than that, I'm just not a big Trey Lance guy to begin with, so I don't want to see the Falcons move on from a 1st, a 2nd, probably even a 3rd. I could be persuaded for a 4th. A 4th is not going to make or break a future team, but a 4th for Trey Lance could have a huge ceiling, and for that reason, I could get behind it. Now, I am ready for the quarterback rumors to definitely go away. It is July. Training camp is almost here. it's Desmond Ridder's team, right? It is Desmond Ridder's show here. Let's get behind this guy for 2023, see what he can do in this offense. Best case scenario, he lights the world on fire. He's this team's new Matt Ryan in terms of a franchise quarterback for the next decade plus. If not, you stink and you go get Caleb Williams, who might be the next Patrick Mahomes. So win-win in my eyes right here. Now, next up on the show, we're going to talk about a breakout candidate from The Athletic because they went through all 32 NFL teams and identified a breakout player for each one. And for Atlanta, they went with second-year linebacker Troy Anderson. But before we get to Mr. Anderson, the retro t-shirts are still on sale. Now, they do not have all the sizes, so do not wait any longer. Get your very own Falcons retro t-shirt by going to chatsports.com/ATL Retro. The link's in the comments and the description of today's video. So get your hands on these awesome new Falcons t-shirts. Now, getting back to the former Montana Bearcat, Grizzly, whatever it is, Troy Anderson was named as a breakout candidate from The Athletic, and this is what Josh Kendall, the beat reporter for the Falcons, had to say. The Falcons restocked their defensive depth chart via free agency and hired a new defensive coordinator, and the biggest beneficiary could be a player who was already in the fold. Anderson, taken 58th in the 2022 draft, earned the starting middle linebacker job late in his rookie year and should flourish in Ryan Nielsen's pressure-heavy system. The 245-pounder is one of the NFL's best athletes at inside linebacker. He ran a 4.42 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine and has an alarming interior quickness when he gets a free run. He will have more of those this year. I am all in on the hype train. I am the conductor of the Troy Anderson hype train. I am very excited to see what he can bring in 2023. You can mark me down as a big believer in Troy Anderson flourishing this upcoming season right in the middle of this brand new defense ran under Ryan Nielsen. Last year, in 17 games, he notched 69 tackles, nice, 3 tackles for loss, no sacks, 1 pass breakup, but he was gelling into a defense that was not really good. I mean, let's be honest. But hopefully this year, it's a turnaround, and Troy Anderson right in the middle of it with a lot of good veteran pieces around him, right? Bud Dupree is a pro's pro in terms of knowing how to run an NFL defense and being in the right spot at the right time. Caden Ellis comes over with a couple of years under his belt. Lorenzo Carter has been improving as his career has gone on, and he was at his best last year. So for Troy Anderson, right in the middle of this defense, he doesn't have to spend too much time worrying about everyone being lined up in the right spot, right? He could just focus on himself because he's got a lot of great veterans around him, and he's not the blind leading the blind in terms of a second-year player leading a bunch of rookies. Now, when we look at the stats last year for these 3 linebackers, Anderson was, statistically the least impressive, if you will, but that was his rookie season. Didn't get the starting job until the second half of the season. Meanwhile, Caden Ellis and his 7 sacks come to town. Michael Walker, this team's leading tackler after Rashaan Evans, 107 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 1 sack. So there is a lot of depth at this linebacker position for Atlanta. So let me know, will Troy Anderson break out in 2023? Yes or no? I think so. I think Troy Anderson will emerge as, I'm not quite sure if he's going to be at a Deion Jones type level in year 2, but I think he could have that type of status on this defense where he's a reliable player, and when it's October and November, evened up after yesterday's Netflix competition, or Netflix original series draft. Rolly took the win to level it off at 3-3. We welcome Rolly back to the show. He was a busy man yesterday, but Rolly, congrats on the win.
Yeah, it feels good to be back in the win column. You know, I jumped out to a 1-0 lead, and then I lost 2 straight, then I fought back, and then you took 1, and then I evened it up. So we're a little bit of a seesaw battle right now.
This is Game 7.
I thought I had a great draft yesterday. I was disappointed that I was too busy with a bunch of other stuff. I was live on another channel that I couldn't help, or my own cause, but luckily, shout out Sam Brown, helped me out, but I think my selections also spoke for themselves.
Let's get right into it.
Yeah, today's category is sports movies, and it's going to be a hot take, but I like Coach Carter the best, man. One of my favorite movies of all time, Samuel L. Jackson, Coach Carter, true story, some of the best basketball movie moves. I mean, it was just an awesome movie. I always enjoy watching Coach Carter. It's my 1-1.
You know, shout out to you for sticking by your favorite movie because it's not the unanimous one, but it is a great movie. For me, it's Miracle on Ice, right? Miracle is not only my favorite sports movie, it's probably my favorite movie all time. That's the Patriot in me gets a little bit louder. Love Miracle. Great movie, great story. It's just undefeated. So that was my number one pick with the number 2 spot.
Yeah, with my third pick, I went Rocky, the classic Rocky, but if you want to loop in all of the Rocky movies, that's fine with me too, because there is nothing that gets me more fired up as an individual than watching the movie Rocky, at Rocky 2, any of them. When they get to those training montages, Rocky's ready, it makes me want to be a better person and get fired up, get out in the gym, get working. I love the Rocky movies, good stories. Sylvester Stallone, what a goat. Rocky, number 2 on my list, number 3 overall.
My second pick, I went with Moneyball. It's just a great movie. There's really no explanation needed beyond that. It's a phenomenal film. Jonah Hill and Brad Pitt are at their best right there. Such a good movie. Here's how I know it's a great movie. If I'm at a hotel and Moneyball's playing on TV, I'll watch the commercials to watch Moneyball.
Ooh.
That's a good test as to, do you really like a movie enough to watch the commercials when you're at a hotel? For Moneyball, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good point. And with my third selection, I went with Happy Gilmore. I jumped in the comedy bag a little bit, but there is no movie that I think I can watch on repeat more than Happy Gilmore. I'm a big golf guy, so this is always fun for me. Adam Sandler, another GOAT in the industry. Just a great laugh, good fun. Shooter McGavin, maybe one of the best villains of all time from a pure comedy standpoint, and you just want to root against them. Happy Gilmore, just a classic movie.
Yeah, hard to knock that one. For me, at number 6, I was shocked to see it still on the board. Remember the Titans. I mean, this is a best player available pick. Remember the Titans is a phenomenal film. It's one of Disney's best, and I couldn't pass on it, right? To see it still on the board, to see Denzel Washington still in the green room with the 6th pick, I had to take it. So Remember the Titans, and now I've hit so many classics: Miracle, Moneyball, and Remember the Titans.
Yeah, with my final pick, I went with one that I honestly was surprised was on the board, and I tossed and turned between Sandlot, which is what I went with, and Field of Dreams. I wanted to go baseball with my final selection, and I finalized with Sandlot. And this is one of those movies that makes the inner kid in you come out, playing ball with your friends at the park. Sandlot, great movie. The Bambino, awesome.
No disrespect to that one. To round it out, with a bit of a comedy pick here, Dodgeball. There's a lot of options I could have gone with. I like The Blind Side. There's a lot of other great movies. But Dodgeball is so fun to quote. It is one of my favorite movies to go back and quote with my friends. Cram it up your cram hole, LaFleur. You're out, LaFleur. Ooh. So just so many good lines. You stepped over the line. Dodgeball.
That's a warning.
That's a warning. Yeah, you just can't beat Dodgeball, right? Nazi camp, get out early, Mr. Goodman. So many good lines from Dodgeball. So those are our picks for the sports movies draft. Let us know who had a better draft. Petey, myself, or Rolly. Type whichever name you thought had a better draft in the comments section below. That will do it for us on today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you guys later.